My journey in NYPD began April 15, 1997. That's the day I joined the academy. There was a security guard that kept security at the store where I worked. After I got out of the military, I went back to work at the electronics store, and he insisted that I should do something better with myself. He said, you came out in the military, you got your heads on your shoulder, and you should join NYPD. So I filled out the application on the very last day, and I sent it in. I got called to go do the exam. I asked my boss for some time off from work so I could go take this exam. And I was given like an hour and a half off from work because Saturday is the busiest day in the store. And so I got there, and then they said the testing is 3 hours. I'm like, oh, I can't be away for 3 hours. It's 10 o'clock on a Saturday, the store is opening. So eventually I did the test. I took like maybe just about an hour to complete the test, and the proctor was like, hey, you have 2 hours left. You want to check your answers? I'm like, no, if I check, I might change it. Long story short, I scored, I believe, like a 96 on the test. So the very first class, 6 months later for the NYPD, I was able to go into the class. I took the exam in 1996 it was, and April 1997 the first class was going in. I performed in the academy, and then I was assigned to the 71st precinct. And at that time, we had to remember we were coming out of a very big scandal. The NYPD had a very big scandal while I was in the police academy, the Abner Louima scandal in the 70 precinct. But upon graduation, I was assigned to the 71st precinct, which is in Crown Heights, which is the sister precinct to the 70 precinct where the incident happened. And it was a blessing. The 71st precinct was a mixture. So you had West Indians, you had Spanish, you had Jews. It was predominantly the Jews and West Indians. So being placed in that precinct among people of same cultural background of you was tremendous. And at the same time, you get to learn other cultures, the Jewish culture and the Spanish culture, and the few Caucasians in the area. And I learned a lot. I had some persons in the 71st precinct, and one that stand out hands down is my good friend to this day, Aubrey Henry. He took me under his wings and he showed me the rope. I did have a big mouth when I just got there as a rookie. I figure I did well in the academy, and I'm kind of smart, and and I had a big mouth, and being West Indian and all of that. And he himself had West Indian background, but he took me under his wing and he showed me a lot, and I learned a lot. It was very gratifying for me. From day one, I met good bosses. My first commanding officer there was Chief Fox, who went on to become a 3-star chief within the department. So he was one of the highest ranking officers in NYPD, but he was my first commanding officer there. And again, I learned a lot. Along the way, made some great friends. My partner, John Gillen, we did the truancy thing together. He taught me a lot. It's just so much to mention. Erica Mintz, Natasha, Cray, the other Natasha. I mean, it was just so much great people there, willing to teach you. And I was willing to learn because I wanted to be a good officer of service. I wanted to serve the community that I was interested in. While in the 71st precinct, 9/11 happened, September 11. So that was a very, very, very bad day in police history, in the city of New York history. And so the face of policing changed after that day, I can tell you. Yes, as an officer, you serious, and you have to take your job seriously, and you act accordingly. But I tell you, after 9/11, it went up a notch, and so a lot of things that we probably would have taken for granted in the past, you now have to pay more attention to. I spent just about 7 years, maybe about 6.5 years in the 71st precinct. I took the sergeant test. The sergeant test was actually supposed to be October of 2001, but then 9/11 happened, so they had to put off the test. Initially, after 9/11, I think I may have worked 30 days straight with no day off, maybe 12 to 15 hours a day, right? The regular shift was 8 hours and 30 minutes, 35 minutes, but they had changed it for 9/11. So I think we went to 12-hour tours, but you were working 12 hours every day, no day off. And then on top of the 12 hours, you probably had like 3 or 4 hours overtime every day also. They rescheduled the test because, we had to return to some sort of normalcy. And I think they put off the test for January or February of 2002. So I was like, man, so overtime is good. I probably might not want to become a sergeant. But, my partner insisted, he's like, you should still take it. And he encouraged me. And, we both took it and we both passed. I got promoted in September of 2002 and I went to Manhattan. I did not want to go to Manhattan. One of my old commanding officer, Pete Tuffy, great man, called me up and says, kid, you're getting promoted, you're coming to Manhattan. I'm like, Inspector, I want to go to Manhattan. Just transfer me, just get me to the other side of Brooklyn, the 77th precinct, the other side of Eastern Parkway. I worked on one side in the 71st precinct, the 77 is the other side, get me there. He's like, nah, you come into Manhattan, you're a great cop and you will be a great boss and I'm taking you with me in Manhattan. And I was like, I don't know if I like Manhattan, different culture. And he says, you come for 1 month and if you don't like it, I'll get you transferred to any precinct you want in the city. And so I took him up on that offer and the rest is history. I never left Manhattan for the next, I spent just maybe about 18 years or so in Manhattan after that. But so I went to Midtown South precinct and I was made a training sergeant there. So I trained the rookies and it was a big precinct, one of the biggest in the city. I was one of 2 African-American supervisors there. There were a lot of supervisors, maybe like 70 something, but there were only 2 of us as African-Americans there. And so, it was a whole different perspective. But the gratification came in me being able to impart some of my knowledge to the rookies, the new guys coming in. The rookies class was about 100, 120 cops. Every 6 months we were getting in that precinct and I trained a couple of class. Then, I did a couple other things in that precinct. I couple specialty units, the plainclothes units and stuff like that. And then 2005 came around and I got notified that I'm getting deployed to the Middle East. So I got shipped out on active military duty. I was activated from reserve status and shipped out to the Middle East. So I spent the whole of 2006 in the Middle East. Got back at the December 2006 and went back to Midtown South. And then 2007 rolled around and one of my previous bosses from the 71st precinct was now the chief of transit. He was the big boss in transit, Chief Hall. And he took me to work for him in transit. In transit, again, I did some work with the rookies there for maybe like a year. Did a couple of classes, and then Chief Hall put me in charge of the gang unit in transit. And it was a very gratifying and fulfilling and rewarding post. In that post, as a plainclothes supervisor, I had about 12 guys, and the city was our precinct. So basically, we had the whole city working plainclothes, dealing with the gangs.